Hello there everyone, Lars here with a writer's review brought to you by Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And the Owl House Season 1 just wrapped up and I have something to say about it. First of all, I loved watching this show. It has solid storytelling, great and hilarious characters, poignant messages, fantastic world building, and overall it was just entertaining to watch. And on a personal note, watching this series gave me a chance to share something with my sister and my brother-in-law. I told them that they should watch The Owl House, and every weekend since they started watching it, we would share texts about our impressions, our theories, and our overall love for this show. We even waited until we could all watch the finale together. I haven't had a show like this in my life since Gravity Falls, and thank you, Owl House, for letting me have this. And also a quick shout out to Amphibia right here, because that gorgeous cartoon is right up there with the Owl House. I feel like I need to mention it just because, man, it's so good. But seriously, here for this video, I just want to gush about how amazing the Owl House is. However, I need to restrain myself because if I just go on a pedantic rant, things are going to get meandering and messy, and I don't want any of that. There's just so much to talk about, so I'll address a few things that really impressed me as a writer and a few bits of criticism that I do have for this show. First of all, let me praise this series on doing something incredible, focusing on the relationships that the characters have and the lessons that they embody. A story lives or dies by the characters that it has. You can have a vibrant, fascinating world, a beautifully structured and complex plot, and address big questions and themes that touch the hearts of your audience, but if the characters suck, so too will the story. And the Owl House has amazing characters. In my video breaking down the episode The Intruder, I talked about how Luz helps King and Ida to become better people, to become their best selves. But I also talked about how that puts her at risk. And I loved how the season finale played off of that the people closest in your life can become your greatest enemies. Only in this case, it wasn't Luz and Ida, but it was Lilith who posed the greatest threat to Ida, her sister. Then there was the Emperor's betrayal of Lilith, and of course Luz being used as bait in order to bring Ida into this horrible predicament in the first place. It was so well set up and executed, and it was a fulfillment of what I was talking about in my previous video about relationships and how they are portrayed within this show. The great climax to the first season would not have worked without great characters, and so I look forward to how their relationships will be developed further in the next season. And of course, Luz has great dynamics with her other friends and the students at Hexside. Seeing her together with Willow and Gus always just puts a smile on my face. And her relationship with Amity has been a very tasteful one. It's been very well executed, going from bully to standoffish allies to finally friends, and Amity ultimately developing feelings for Luz. And though I know I'm sticking my neck out here saying this, but I gotta do it. This is really the best LGBTQ relationship developed in an American cartoon that I have seen. All the other shows either directly shoehorned in those relationships or rushed them to score woke points. And those points mean diddly squat! And so it just kind of sucks because something that could have been a really good relationship just got rushed or shoehorned and has almost no place within the story. And you shouldn't do that to your characters. You shouldn't do that to them. They deserve better. But the Owl House, I think they did it right. Another aspect that I have to praise is the world building. This show tells so much through its backgrounds and characters. And it's not just the codes and clues hidden in plain sight, but the way we see the world work. It feels like you could go to the Boiling Isles right now, and just going off of what you see in the show, you won't die the first day that you're there. Well, that's a plus. So long as you don't take any weird quests from wizards at the Boiling Isles, you should survive your first 24 hours after watching the first season of The Owl House. Try to book it as quick as you can to Ida's stand. Then you might survive a little bit longer. I also love the mysteries laden throughout this series. We still have to learn about the Titans, the wild magic, what really happened to the Palismans, the identity of Emperor Belos, which I think I've got nailed down, but that's for another video, and of course what the Day of Unity is really about. The ending to the first season wrapped up way more than I thought it would, but it threw us into the wider mysteries within the story, and just once again has me so excited for Season 2. And I have to say this, the Owl House absolutely managed the precarious balancing act of delivering heartfelt relationships, complex world building, genuine comedy, and overall plot progression. This is a very difficult balance to strike, and not many shows can keep it consistent throughout their entire runtime. I can honestly say that there wasn't a single episode that disappointed me. Even episodes that others might consider as quote-unquote weaker still delivered many amazing moments and continued to build on what was previously established in other installments. The story was just so good at moving forward, even though it is episodic storytelling. And with a show that has so many memorable moments, it almost makes me wish that I had the time to do a review and a play-by-play of each episode. Alas, I do not have the time to pull off such a feat. Being a full-time teacher and novice writer is time-consuming, to say the least. However, I do have some time to list a few other things that I really enjoyed within this series. Like I said, this is a rant about how much I enjoyed this show, laden with a little bit of criticism there at the end. But The Owl House is a long overdue parody of Harry Potter, and a competent one at that. By golly, we finally have one. We have Hexside as the clear ripoff of Hogwarts.
Right, kids, who wants to go on a field trip to the astral planes?
I do.
Which tracks would you like to be in?
Healing and beastkeeping.
Plants and abomination.
Then so be it. But if any of you cause more property damage, I'm feeding you to the choosy hat. And you?
Oh, I still can't choose. Maybe it's crazy, but I wish I could study a little bit of everything. Whoa! What's going on? What is this? Oh, this is so cool! Yeah, I'm gonna study everything!
You know, only one other student wanted to study every track. Unfortunately, she was never given the opportunity. The Coven denies knowing about the Basilisk, but that won't stop me from writing a very stern letter.
All right, read chapters 3 to 5 on the right way to scratch yourself in public. Spoiler alert, there's no wrong way. Days like these make being a teacher all worth it.
The Choosing Hat?
But all the tracks are so cool.
Is there some sort of enchanted article of clothing that could sort this out for me?
Well, there used to be, but...
Oh, I'm so excited!
And now, I feed!
And the Grudge Bee match, showing off how ridiculous the rules of Quidditch are.
I got this guy. It means we automatically win. All magic sports are like this.
That just invalidates all our efforts. If catching that thing is so important, why do anything else? There's no reason to watch any of the other players.
And the battles in this show are just also phenomenally well done. I could do a fight analysis for just every single fight in this series, and they would all be good. They are brilliantly animated, they have great pacing, they are wonderfully set up, and they exist for narrative reasons and not just for fight's sake. That is something that is normally done in a lot of shows where like, oh, we need to have a fight to show off something cool, yeah! But every single major fight that you see within the Owl House has been properly set up and is executed for a specific narrative reason, not just to show how cool Ida and Lilith look when they're using their magic. And then there's Principal Bump, who is the dream faculty leader that every teacher and student actually wants at their school. Can we please get a Principal Bump Appreciation Day? We need it! And heck, the whole cast of characters in the show is great. I mean, we got King, Luz, Ida, Hooty, King, Amity, Willow, Gus, King, Lilith, the Bat Queen, Emperor Belos. He's especially awesome. But most importantly, we have King. All of these characters have amazing introductions, character arcs, and mysteries behind them. And when I said that characters also have mysteries to them, that is one thing I also adore about this show. How it is able to interweave all of these different mysteries into the characters, into the plot, and into the environment. And it just gives me so much wonderful theory fodder, and I really hope to make some great videos before Season 2 comes out exploring some of my own thoughts and theories, because there's really so much to work with. And that is something I do really want to see more of within the Owl House community. This show has the potential to rise to the same heights as Gravity Falls. It has everything there, and it can captivate a wide audience with all of its potential. We can't just let the Roundhouse and Cartoon Universe corner the market on these kinds of discussions. We as the fans need to do more. But now this does lead me to my criticism. I hope the showrunners really lean into the variety and diversity that they have set up with the different story elements. There's so much that the Owl House has for so many different people out there. However, recently they've really been leaning into the relationship between Luz and Amity. It just now seems as though the show is really about Lumity, and that could easily become a detriment. Whenever I introduce this show to others who haven't seen it yet, they are quickly assaulted with shipping stuff before they are even through the first episode. And like any good relationship, it needs to be discovered, not pushed. It reminds me of how the Undertale community really put me off to playing such a wonderful game. It was only after the game's decline in popularity that I finally tackled it, and ultimately I bemoan the fact that overzealous fans kind of scared me away from such a beautiful story that now means a lot to me after I've played it. And by playing into this craze, the showrunners might overplay their hand. And I would hate to see that happen with this show. Not knocking the ship, I did say that Lumity is well done. But also, as King said, and sadly that leads me to my criticism of the story itself. Every episode, like I said, was well done. Even ones that others might consider weaker were still well written and fantastically delivered. There was not a single moment where I felt bored with this show, where I wasn't laughing or engaged or enthralled or horrified. That bespeaks phenomenal writing. And when I look at the show as a whole, all the episodes work together to build a strong, overarching narrative. The first half of the season did an excellent job of delivering the deeper themes and hinting at the bigger mysteries in the series. However, once Luz joined Hexside, we quickly switched from dark, crazy stories to high school hijinks and shipping. The tonal shift was such a turn that it quickly kind of turned into the Luz and Amity show. This made the ending kinda come out of left field. Agony of a Witch and Young Blood Old Souls were amazing episodes, and really stand up there with some of the best cartoon episodes in recent years. But they were a rude awakening after the show had spent so much time with Luz in school and setting up the Lumity ship. The token references to Ida and Lilith in the background really weren't enough to sustain the darker atmosphere that we got earlier on in the show. I think a way that this could have been resolved is if Ida had in some form taken on Grom, at least for a moment, so we could see a hint of what freaks her out the most. And that could have been a foreshadowing moment to the showdown with Emperor Belos. Now, I do say all of this from a place of ignorance, because I don't know what they have planned for the second season, and maybe they had to rush certain things so that way they would have more time for the good, intense stuff later on. However, it is still critical to maintain the feel of a story throughout its duration. And that was just one glaring narrative setback that I found within Season 1. But ultimately, I still think it was a fantastic show. So yeah, those are my overall thoughts on the first season of The Owl House. I hope that the fan community can keep the show alive and healthy during its break. So share this video and any other video out there about The Owl House. Let's share that material as far and wide as we can on the internet. Bring more people to this fantastic story so that way it can continue to grow and the hype train can build and we can all enjoy Season 2 together. So, Look out for other Owl House videos from us in the future, and until then, feel free to check out our other videos, especially if you are an aspiring writer. We have even more writing advice and shenanigans for you over at our podcast found on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, and even Spotify. And if you want to have some good writing exercises, once again, if you're an aspiring writer and you want to try to hone your craft, we have some amazing exercises for you over at our Pinterest page. And we would love to have discussions with you about the Owl House, writing, or anything else that you want to talk about over at our subreddit. It is open there to create a community where people can come together to share their thoughts on storytelling. We would love to have you join us because this adventure that we call writing, it's for everyone. And thank you for being a part of it, even if it's just for this video. It really means a lot to us. And until the next video, y'all, tschüss.